She's perhaps IA. Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you have a seat, ma'am?
Please sit. Yeah. So, Ankita, how far are you living from this place?
I'm presently quite close, but
Quite
that's my
close.
temporary
There's your
accommodation.
temporary abode, is it?
Old Rajendra Nagar.
All right. Very close by.
Yes, ma'am.
You came quite early. That's why I came quite
Yes,
early.
ma'am. I was told my slot was 9:30 and I was supposed to report by 9:15.
Oh.
So I came by 9:15.
That's all right. So you could rest a little.
Yes, ma'am.
So kindly tell me, there's one lady president who's Wanderley. Have you heard her name? She's visiting India.
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
You haven't seen.
No, ma'am.
She came yesterday, but she gave a lecture also. India and her ties, whatever. Okay, doesn't matter. So now the foreign affairs person of Nigeria, he's visiting India. Have you read that? You have.
No, ma'am.
You didn't. Okay. So tell me, what is the Indo-Pacific region? Which area is Indo-Pacific?
Ma'am, Indo-Pacific region is a geographical area that extends from the eastern coast of Africa to the western coast of Australia.
Okay.
And
So why has it become important?
ma'am, there are two major reasons: geoeconomics and geostrategic, both. Economics, because it has major 80% of oil trade that happens through sea lanes of communication that are existing in Indo-Pacific region, and it's become geostrategically very important because of a competition that we are seeing amongst great powers in the region, like China developing its string of pearls, then Quad grouping that has happened, and AUKUS that has happened. So that is how.
So does this Indo-Pacific area cover that portion between India and Sri Lanka?
The Gulf of Mannar and Park Strait, ma'am.
It does cover? No, I'm just asking. I don't know.
Ma'am, geographically, I think it does
It
cover.
does. So tell me about Sri Lanka a little. Sri Lanka has having problems,
Yes,
economic and so on and otherwise. So why do you think it happened in Sri Lanka?
Ma'am, there are manifold reasons to it, but I think the most important reason I feel is a short-term policy view that was there. Sudden change in the entire agricultural system of the country of going towards organic without viewing the long-term implications of it. That affected the country a lot and has made it quite dependent on food imports and essential imports. Right. Then, ma'am, not being cognizant of the forex reserves that the country has, and the increased debt, which is nearly 109% of their total, and they need nearly 7 to 8 billion to be able to build out. Okay. And then, ma'am, there is the COVID has also been one of the reasons, because Sri Lanka is a tourism dependent country, and because of the lockdown and the supply chain disruptions, that has also been affected.
Tell me, has COVID in the last 2.5 years, according to me, has it made a change in the society in India? What has happened?
Ma'am, it has brought about many changes. The first being that in a work environment, the work from home system has, we've seen that it's become quite convenient for few sectors like information technology, and that has affected the lifestyle of people. Then, ma'am, to a certain extent, what I've observed in my own home is because of the lockdown and people staying at home, there was greater burden sharing of household responsibilities. My father himself started
working.
He's working.
Good for him.
But he started helping my mom in kitchen. My brother started helping my mother in kitchen and learned cooking. So this wouldn't have happened if COVID was not happening.
Okay. Right, sir.
Madam, Ankita, you are from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
UP government has set a target of 1 trillion economy, US dollars,
yes, sir,
by 2027.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it is achievable? What are the factors which can support this target?
So I think I'm optimistic with this vision. The first and the most important reason is that the government is investing in infrastructure, and infrastructure being the lifeline of the economy can drive this change. We've seen that Yamuna Expressway is connected to Purvanchal now, and we are also witnessing development of Bundelkhand Expressway, one of the regions that was the most neglected region by far. Then defense corridor is being developed, and it connects Bundelkhand region like Jhansi to Kanpur and Lucknow. Then large number of regional connectivity airports have also been developed. After that, sir, that government has been cognizant of skilling also, and new policy for I mean, not new, but policies for skilling India. Skilling youth is also there. Then schemes like one district, one product.
Okay, good. Now, philosophy is your optional subject.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, Ankita, how ancient philosophical thought has shaped our political ideology and governance principles?
So if we see our ancient political thought, the most important value that it gives us is that of tolerance and democracy, whether be it the Buddhist philosophy of Madhyam Marga or Anekantvad philosophy of Jainism. We see that it talks about various perspectives being correct and forming the whole truth instead of one individual truth, and that has been the part of our basic philosophy of democracy also. Then, so the centricity of humanity that is there in our philosophy, that is there in our governance system also, and I can think of.
Okay, yes. Good. Now, can you name few political philosophers who have influenced our freedom struggle? Tell me very briefly there, 1 or 2 lines about their role.
So, I'm not very sure if they were exactly political philosophers who were part.
Shri Aurobindo, for example.
Aurobindo Ghosh was there, sir. Then Rabindranath Tagore also influenced our freedom struggle. Aurobindo Ghosh's initial period was mostly revolutionary in nature, but after his imprisonment, his view completely changed, and he took a spiritual path, and Auroville Ashram is developed. And here he talked about the ascent of entire humanity as a whole instead of being focused on individual.
Good. My last question, Ankita. Your graduation subject was electrical engineering.
Yes, sir.
So, do you think that India is secured from the energy point of view?
So with the recent initiatives that are being taken in the field of diversification of energy basket, I think India is moving towards greater energy security, and even the renewable energy has grown over a period of time. Now it is nearly 38% of our total installed capacity. However, I think, sir, there needs to be greater investment in research and development and innovation, because renewable is a new field, and especially battery technology is something that we need to work upon. So that is the way.
Thank you, Ankita.
Okay, let's have a conversation from where you left on UP. You said that you're very optimistic because UP government is investing a lot in infrastructure, so they'll actually be building a lot of that and investing a lot of money in that. Let me make it a little generic. If the kitty is limited and you are given a choice, would you invest in infrastructure or building a healthy human resource?
I think, sir, the infrastructure becomes redundant if you don't have the requisite human resource to utilize it. So the priority should be to invest in human resource, but infrastructure can also not be neglected from the multiplier effects that it has. Like, so for example, electricity is infrastructure, but when it reaches the rural areas, it empowers people a lot. So it is also a medium to develop human resource. So both are quite complementary in nature. They cannot be mutually exclusive.
No, absolutely. I can't disagree with you, but tell me, if we really want to become a $1 trillion economy, the state wants to become a $1 trillion
Yes, sir.
economy, can it do so without adequate, healthy human resource?
No, sir, it cannot.
Cannot. Okay. So now, let me combine your technology, reading and philosophy together
Yes.
and ask you another
Yes.
interesting one. See, philosophically speaking, technology is taking over the world today.
Yes, sir.
You think we've entered a stage where technology has taken over our lives in such a way that the social norms have been absolutely washed out?
So technology is a tool. It's a value neutral tool. It depends upon how we use it. For example, sir, social media. It's a tool. We call it a double-edged sword because it depends upon how we are using it. On one hand, it is a source of democratic information access to most people. It also is a source of freedom of speech and expression. But at the same time, if not used properly, if not used with good intent, it also becomes source of fake information, disinformation, hate speech. So technology per se will not wash out the human values if we ourselves are cognizant of those values.
No, it should not. But is it?
So if I observe it on a smaller micro scale, then I do see that there are certain changes to it, and the society is becoming more consumptive and consumerist in nature rather than being more like spiritual in nature. That sees a little decline, but then like the human life has cycles. So when we get very consumerist, we suffer from mental health problems and depression, and then again we'll take the recourse to spirituality. So in broader sense, I think human has always been able to preserve the values that are important to him.
Good. Now, just one last point. You just talked about energy security.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the current mix of fossil fuel versus renewable energy in India's power generation?
So I'm aware of the installed capacities. That
We always talk about only the installed capacity, so please go ahead.
so
You're
nearly
absolutely right.
55% comes from coal. 60% becomes the total non-renewable, and 38% is renewable along with large hydro. And in renewable, I think so 10% is solar. I'm not very sure.
Doesn't matter. Don't get into details. No problem. My question is, if this is the speed, do you think we can actually leave coal?
So considering India's population and India's economic aspirations, we cannot completely abandon coal. But at the same time, even in INDCs, India has indicated that there will be greater progression towards renewable energy. Like we are aiming towards 50% of our total power being renewable. Then initiatives have also been taken, like International Solar Alliance, One Sun, One Grid, One World.
How many countries have actually done something about it, apart from India?
In ISA, sir?
Yeah, ISA.
I think so. France has been quite supportive of this initiative, but I'm not very much aware of others.
No, finally, just connected with this. Even if it's not a technical answer, what in your view is more important for India, renewable energy or cleaner coal?
So I think it's both ways, like both are equally important, because if you see the limitations of a transmission system, it doesn't reach the nooks and the corners. Their off-grid system, renewable energy becomes really important. But otherwise, bulk power is still derived from coal. So we'll be dependent on coal for some time.
Excellent. Thank you.
You are from Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
And UP has had assembly elections recently.
Yes, sir.
And some study has reported that almost 50% of the elected members, 50% of elected members
Yes, sir.
have criminal records. Now, there have been some, move regarding reforms But suppose if you have the power
Yes,
to
sir.
change the law,
Yes, sir.
right? What change would you like to bring so that no member with criminal record enters into an assembly? Not just UP, any other, anyone, anywhere.
So I have the power to change the law. So if I have the power to change the law, I would make sure that people who have records of who have criminal record, including heinous records, even though not convicted but charge sheeted, they should not be eligible. They should be debarred from contesting elections.
So when you say charge sheeted, what is the exact stage?
So
When
they are accused, but not.
So they are accused, either you have the police charge sheets or files an FR.
Yes, sir.
So you mean to say at the stage of charge sheeting by police that cognizance should be taken, or maybe at a later
In case
stage?
of a heinous crime, if it is a heinous crime, in that case, charge sheeting could act as a barrier. But if it is not a heinous crime, especially one that is not related to children or women, in that case, I think so after judicial trial, we can debar.
Ukraine war is going on,
Yes, sir.
and what do you think has been impact on India as far as exports are concerned and imports are concerned, good or bad, whichever?
So in case of imports, because India is highly oil dependent, and coal dependent, so both the prices have risen in the international market, and this has led to inflation in our country and also power outages in few industrial states of a country. So this has been the negative impact. So if I see the positive is that India has high wheat export potential. So that because wheat from Ukraine and Russia has been restricted in the international market, so there India can profit from wheat exports.
And how do you assess the current status of economy in terms of GDP? Is it going up or expected to go down? The inflation rate, the trade deficit. What is your assessment about the present status, today's status?
So today the world has become quite uncertain. So I can only make a short-term prediction of where our economy is. In terms of inflation, I think our country is struggling a little bit because we are at 6.95%, which is beyond RBI's permissible limit. At the same time, but the growth and the economic recovery in India has been quite robust, and although it has been clamped down, but nearly 8% of economic growth is still seen by various experts, and RBI has also said that. So that is a positive sign. And so GST collections of a country have been increasing over the 3 months, and they've also crossed nearly 1.4 lakh crores, which has been a record collection. So it is a high frequency indicator that shows that certain amount of recovery is happening in our economy. So I think it's mixed.
So you said RBI is worried about the growing inflation exceeding 6.9. Suppose you were the governor of RBI.
Yes, sir.
What changes you would have brought now after the last monetary policy?
So mostly RBI stance before this has been accommodative. There's need to move towards neutral and tightening so that the money supply is restricted. At the same time, inflation is basically, here inflation is due to rise in price of goods and services because of import being more expensive. So certain supply side interventions are needed in this case, but that I think that government can do, RBI cannot.
Ankita, my last question. US Deputy Secretary of State has recently said that US pledges to give India all those weapons which Russia is giving. Now, in the light of this opportunity, what do you think should be a change in India's purchase policy of defense items? Should we go for US also at the same time, or maybe in lieu of Russia we go to US? What exactly you think should be done?
So I think India should be guided by its own strategic autonomy and not be carried away by statements. Although defense diversification is a good idea and we should move towards it, but that should be based on our national interest. We've had historical ties with Russia, and our technology, most of our defense technology is still Russia dependent. So we cannot have a knee-jerk reaction and completely replace Russia. But diversification is a good step, and along with that, defense indigenization is also required so that we become more self-reliant.
Good. Thank you, Ankita.
Doing well, so cheer up. Okay. And are you under training or you are already posted out?
The training.
There is in training. Where is the training going on?
Also, because of the COVID, most of our training was online.
Okay. That's wonderful. What is being taught there?
So, there have been various activities, but they're mostly focused on GST law.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Good. In Uttar Pradesh, they are talking about having a uniform civil code.
Yes.
Uniform civil code for Uttar Pradesh. So, what would be the limbs of that uniform civil code? Code means it is containing more than one law,
Yes, sir.
or say more than one subject will be there. So, which are the areas which you think will be covered under the uniform civil code?
Also, uniform civil code is mostly seen in terms of personal laws.
Mm-hmm.
So, marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance, these laws would be covered under it.
Mm-hmm. Will also will be covered?
Inheritance and will, yes, sir.
Yeah, it will be covered.
Yes.
Okay. So out of that, do you think we should go step by step and catch hold of one or two of the topics and then make a law? Or do you think that we should have a total bulk attempt and all these four areas we cover?
Sir, personal laws are, people are quite sentimental towards their culture.
Oh, I mean, you are against making it a law on that. Some laws are already there.
So I'm not against making a law on it, because I think certain uniformity would definitely help, especially women. It will help because most of our personal laws are some cultural laws are somehow discriminatory towards women.
Let's take one example. I mean, let's be more concrete. Suppose we take on one subject, let me say marriage. Okay,
Yes, sir.
marriage. What sort of laws are there on marriage?
So age of marriage, then there is a nature of marriage.
Suppose
I'm
I
not
don't
very
follow
sure.
any religion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, I may be Hindu, I may be Muslim, I may be Christian. I am not bothered what law. I want to undertake or what you call get myself married without following any of the religion.
Yes,
Which
sir.
law is there for me?
The Special Marriages Act.
Special Marriage Act is there. Okay. So that Special Marriage Act, according to most of the people, is independent of the religion.
Yes, sir.
Why not make that as a part of the uniform civil code and say everybody, whatever marriage you do. Whether you do it in Gurdwara, whether you do in Mandir, whether you do in Masjid, wherever you do, but then ultimately you must get registered in the Special Marriage Act.
Yes, sir.
How do you react to this?
I think it is a good step, sir. Although people can perform their tradition and it does not take away their right to their cultural rights, but at the same time it also provides a certain institutionalized method to recognize marriages, and I think this could be the way forward.
The problem with marriage is that divorce also is likely. Divorce law. Do you think divorce law also should come simultaneously with the marriage law, or can it wait? Can it be distinct laws for different religions if marriage law is one?
So mostly what I think divorces are somehow discriminatory towards women, and in that case, if we have an institutionalized mechanism and a legal support through which women can seek support, that would be a positive step. But it needs a consultative method of bringing such a law, so that all the communities can be brought on board in a democratic method. So this could be the way forward.
Adoption also needs a law, or is it already there? Adoption.
I think so. There is a CARA mechanism through which adoption can take place, and
Ankita, I find your hobby is running.
yes, sir.
Running means what? Running in, running out, running away. What is your hobby?
Running for being healthy.
Running for being healthy. Run for your health.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's not jogging. What's the difference?
So I was in athletics when I was young. So I have carried that enjoyment for running. So jogging is slow-paced running over a longer distance, while running has a greater speed and velocity and shorter distance.
The
So
position of sole also will be different or same?
yes, so like in running, there will be an instant when both your foot will be on ground. At least for one instant. But in jogging, there will be never such an instant where you can put both your feet on ground. So there is that difference.
I think if you are jogging with a friend, you can talk to a friend. In running, I think you cannot talk to the friend.
Yes, so that is why I like it, because you can stay with your own mind. It's like very focused. Running involves a lot of focus, and you can like your brain and your subconsciously you can focus a lot. And that is
Sprint
why
is same or sprint is different?
a sprint is shorter distance, high speed running, sir. So 100 meter, 200 meter and 400 meter races are counted in sprint.
When you switch over from electrical engineering to philosophy, then to commercial taxes, then to higher civil service, is it not a brain drain? I feel bad about the engineering college at Allahabad. They produced you and you are running away from electrical engineering.
So I am not running away from electrical engineering. I am running towards civil services.
Running towards the services. Okay.
And
You're running away from the college.
so my college actually acted as a foundation for my aspiration towards civil services.
You like to stay in engineering college?
Yes, sir. I was part of dramatics committee in my college. And
Suppose from your college, you have to go to Sangam.
Yes,
What are
sir.
the landmarks you will see on the way?
I don't remember, sir, completely. But
You never went?
No, I went, sir. I went.
Where did you frequent to? Did you frequent to civil lines?
Yes,
Or
sir. Civil
nowhere?
lines. Civil lines, sir. Actually, this was one of the drawbacks of college, that girls had a timing. We had 8 o'clock timing, so we had to be back to the hostel by 8 o'clock, and classes were till 6 o'clock. So we only had 2 hours. So we never.
Then where did you go out from that place? Nowhere.
No, so we went to civil lines because it was closer to Telerganj, so we could come back in 2 hours. But Sangam, we could go only on
Suppose you
weekends.
go to civil lines. What do you see on the way? Any landmark do you remember?
So Azad Park, Company Bagh comes in between when we go from Telerganj to civil lines. Then there's one more way through which if we go, then we see Anand Bhavan and Swaraj Bhavan while going to civil lines.
You don't go via this Tej Bahadur Sapru Hospital?
I
Don't
don't
remember.
remember, sir.
Okay, but that's a good point that you saw Anand Bhavan on the way.
Yes, sir.
Good. One must remember what are the landmarks when you travel between 2 points.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Keep in mind.
Ankita.